If you're watching this, don't turn around. The stories you're about to hear are real enough to haunt the people who told them, and if you're sensitive to strange noises in your home, to things moving when they shouldn't, you may want to stop now. Because once you hear these 5 encounters, you won't sleep the same way again. I used to think old buildings creaked because of the wind, until the night something crawled out of the wall in my friend's apartment. You can picture it, cracked plaster, peeling paint, the kind of place you swear is eyes. We were watching a movie when the scratching started to slow that rhythmic, like something was digging from the other side. My friend muted the TV. The scratching stopped. Then a pale hand pushed through the crack. Not a ghostly hand. Not rotten. Not supernatural. Just human, but impossibly thin, the fingers stretching to long, the nails dragging like they had never been cut. We ran. Of course we did, but just before we slammed the door. The thing leaned out far enough for me to see its face. It was my friend's face, or something. Wearing it, something that had been trapped inside the walls, studying him, practicing. We moved out the next morning. But every night since, when he closes his eyes, he hears the scratching start again. The next story comes from a park ranger who patrols a stretch of woods notorious for disappearances. He calls it the Whisper Path. It's a trail where sound just dies. No birds, no wind, nothing. One evening, he was doing his final sweep when we heard a voice. A child's voice whispering his name from the trees. He followed it, calling out, thinking a kid was lost. The whispers led him deeper and deeper, always just out of reach. He said the air grew cold, and the trees seemed to twist together, blocking the moonlight. That's when he realized the whispers weren't just calling his name anymore. They were repeating the last conversation he'd had with his wife before she passed away. Word for word. He stopped dead in his tracks. The whispering grew louder, coming from all directions, hundreds of voices reciting his most private, painful memories. He turned and ran, not even looking back. He says whatever lives on that path doesn't want your body. It wants your memories. It feeds on your grief. He never patrolled that section of the park alone again. Have you ever felt like you were being watched through your webcam? A college student named Maya swore it was happening to her. It started small. Her laptop fan would wear it out hours. And the little green light next to her camera would flicker on for just a second. She put a piece of tape over it. Problem solved, right? Wrong one night. She was video chatting with her parents when her screen froze. Then an incoming call notification popped up from her own account. She declined it, her heart pounding. It called again. And again. On the 5th try, she panicked and answered. Her own face stared back at her, but it wasn't a mirror. The room behind her was identical, but darker. And the person on the screen, her double, slowly raised a hand and peeled the tape off its webcam. Then it smiled, a wide, unnatural grin, and waved. Maya slammed her laptop shut. She threw it against the wall and never used it again. She said the scariest part wasn't seeing her own face. It was the look in its eyes, a look of pure, predatory joy, like a hunter who had finally cornered its prey. This one is about a game. A game you should never play. It's called the Midnight Elevator. You've probably heard variations of it online. Find a building with at least 10 floors, get in the elevator alone, and press the buttons in a specific sequence. If you do it right, the doors will open on a floor that doesn't exist. And a nurse named David decided to try it during a quiet night shift at his hospital. He followed the steps, feeling ridiculous. But then, after pressing the final button, the elevator shuddered and went up, past the top floor. The display went blank. When the doors opened, he wasn't in the hospital anymore. He was looking into a long, dark corridor lit by a single, flickering red light at the far end. The air smelled of rust and something else, something sweet and rotten. He said a profound sense of dread washed over him, a feeling that he was somewhere he was not meant to be. He didn't step out. He just stood there frozen until he saw a silhouette detach itself from the shadows at the end of the hall and start walking towards him. It was tall and thin, and it moved with a strange, jerking motion. He frantically mashed the closed door button, and thankfully, it worked. The elevator dropped so fast he thought the cables would snap. It landed back in the lobby with a crash. He never told anyone what happened. But sometimes, late at night, he'll see the elevator arrive on his floor, the doors will open, and it will be completely empty, except for the faint, lingering smell of rust and decay. Our final story is perhaps the most unsettling because it could happen to any of us. It's about a wrong number. A woman named Claire was driving home late on a deserted highway. Her phone rang, an unknown number. She answered, putting it on speaker. A man's voice, frantic and out of breath, said, "Did you see it?" "Please tell me you saw it too." Confused, Claire said he had the wrong number. The man sobbed. No, please, you have to help me. It's following me." The thing with the wide eyes, he described her car perfectly. The color, the model, even the small crack in her windshield. "It's right behind you," he whispered. "Don't look in the rearview mirror. Whatever you do, don't look." Her blood ran cold. She stared straight ahead, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. The man on the phone started screaming, a raw, terrified sound that was abruptly cut off. Silence. Then a new voice came on the line. It was low and raspy, like dry leaves skittering across pavement. It chuckled softly and said, "Silly boy." I told him not to look, then it hung up. Claire never looked in her mirror. She drove straight to the nearest police station. They found nothing. There were no other cars on that stretch of road. But she says that sometimes, when she's driving at night, she'll catch a glimpse of something in her peripheral vision. Something tall, keeping pace with her car, with eyes that are just a little too wide. If these stories felt real, it's because, to the people who experience them, they were. The world is full of strange echoes and dark corners we're not meant to see. So tonight, when you hear a floorboard creak or a strange noise from the other room, just remember you're not alone. But the thing with you might not be friendly. Thanks for watching. Sleep well.